Hello fellow Metroidvania fans and welcome back to another video about a Metroidvania game. This one is called HunterX, which is not the best title in the world, and if I'm honest, the game's alright. It's made by, I think, the same people that made 3000th Duel, which was a game that I actually got a reasonable chunk of time and enjoyment out of. It certainly seems to have a lot of the same systems and assets as that game. Clearly they've got an engine up and running, so why would they not make another game with the same engine? It's a 2.5D Metroidvania, and to be fair to the team, a lot of the enemy models and animations, especially on some of the bosses, are really nicely done, if a little bit generic. There's a lot of things that look, you know, the "can I copy your homework" meme. It looks like they've seen some kind of World of Warcraft or just Warcraft 3 characters and copied them a little bit, but given them their own little twist. The fights are nicely designed, but just like 3000th Duel, there are some issues with power and pacing and especially boss fight mechanics that just aren't massively entertaining, in my opinion. I still completed the game, the first run through of it anyway, but 3000th Duel was a game designed to be run through multiple times, and HunterX seems to have the same kind of setup for it. It's even got achievements for running through it multiple times and collecting all the items, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. So the map that we've got here is designed only for your first run through of the game. I have no idea what changes there might be on subsequent playthroughs. The only thing that I've noticed is that, because I did start New Game Plus, is that down in the starting room there was a silver chest that I found with some extra karma fragments in it. So I'm assuming that elsewhere on the map there will also be new things. It may even be that the chests and stuff that are here have moved locations. I don't know. As I said, your mileage with this game, as I seem to be saying for a lot of games recently, is very much going to vary. Onto the map itself. It's classic Metroidvania blockiness. There are a lot of rooms on this map that don't have any kind of loot in and have got enemies to fight in, and the enemies themselves are cool. Realistically, there's some nice enemies in this game that do some nice things, and there are some nice little tricks in this game as well. There's also a couple of things that are going to stump you unless you read every single item description. If you don't, there's one puzzle in particular that I had to go and look up. Let's talk about the good little tricks, though. In the castle area, there's a couple of rooms here and here. If you remember in Symphony of the Night, you had those enemies that were basically a cluster of swords and weapons. Well, they've done something similar here, but in 2.5D, and they're quite cool looking. And if you kill the enemies in the correct order, then you can open up some barriers in the room to let you get some extra treasure. And I thought that was quite nifty. It's not a massive innovation, having to kill enemies in the right order to get something done, but I quite liked it. Likewise, there's one up there that you need to do the same kind of thing to for that. But the thing that got me and frustrated me... Oh no, actually, a second really positive thing. That should be in white, I'll change that. This room here has a big... Well, essentially it looks like Ragnaros. Big molten lava golem thing. And here, there are some bombs piled up in the doorway. and there's a grate in between and a big wooden box up on a ledge here. And you have to push the box onto the ledge so that when the Ragnaros, whatever they're called, throws a fireball at you, it bounces on the box and onto the bombs. And I didn't get that. The first time I saw it, I thought, oh, that's not working. Do I have to set myself on fire and light the bombs? What do I have to do? And when I came back, it was a little bit more obvious, and I thought that was a nice little puzzle. Was it super complicated? No, but I still managed to miss it like an idiot the first time. The thing that I didn't get was this one down here. Down here, and in fact, there are 3 doors that you need keys for. Or three kind of barrier doors that are marked on the map. There's a purple barrier here. There's a blue barrier down here. And there's a red barrier here. And at the point that I found the red barrier, I'd already found, I believe, references to the purple key and the blue key. And I'd actually found the blue key. So for the red door, I was looking for a red key. And I spent probably 10-15 minutes looking for a red key for the door, and there isn't one. What you actually have to do is use the Ice Axe spell, which you get from the Watcher of High Places all the way up here at the top of the game. You've got to use that, take it down, and use that on the Cerberus, and it'll one-shot him. And it actually says that in the spell. Well, it doesn't say it'll one-shot him, but it says it's really good against fiery guardians. But of course, unless you have read the item description for every single spell, and unless you're using a build that focuses heavily on the occult spells, you might not have done so. That door's probably going to stump you for a bit. But that's how you get through that door. You use the Ice Axe spell from the guy who's basically Kel'Thuzad, and you use it on the Core Hound, essentially, down here, which allows you to get through it and get the Moon Dash, which is the 8-way dash that you need to get to most of the rest of the game. In terms of the exploration of the map, it's not awful. It's gated very specifically in most places by how many times you can jump or how many times you can dash. The dash in the game is a lot like the dash in 3000th the Duel, in the sense that it feels very abrupt in its ending. And therefore, you're going to hear the kind of grunting. It's all tied to a stamina system, of course. Everything in the game is stamina-based, except spells, which are MP-based. You're going to hear a lot of grunting. So I've tried to make sure to cut down on the ridiculous amount of backtracking that you're going to have to do. I've tried to make sure that I've put on, you know, if you need the air jump, which is the double jump, or the moon dash, which is the 8-way jump. Just so that, because the map's not very easy to get around. There aren't many places where you can just make a beeline to something. Chances are you'll have to go and loop around. Fortunately, there's still a system in the game where you can get homeward bones, essentially, to teleport back to the main hub, which is here. So you can get to all of the teleporters in the game pretty straightforwardly, should you need to. The map's cluttered. The map's cluttered because, to be honest, I haven't put a huge amount of effort into it. I mean, I've gone through and I've charted every single treasure chest and what is in every single treasure chest in New Game. The 3000th Duel 1 looked this cluttered originally as well, but I started swapping out a lot of the icons for the important things that were in these chests, like necklaces or special potions or whatever. I might do that at some point, but realistically what you are after is your special skills, your spells, your potion upgrades, where your bosses are. Everything's on there for New Game, whether things change for New Game Plus. I don't know. I suspect there probably will be some changes. Only thing I've got left to say, up in Shadow Tower, which is our end game area, you'll see some skulls. These are essentially redos of a lot of, but not all of, the earlier bosses, but just as normal enemies. I think you can farm them, but I'm not sure. I can't say I checked at that, because they drop spells, but they're not guaranteed to drop the spells as the actual boss, some of them. Some of them will drop weapons instead. So, they may be farmable. I don't know. The game's story is basically non-existent. I think 3000th Duel had more of a story than this game does. You play as a hunter, schoolgirl, ninja, samurai, katana wielder person that hunts down demons, and you start off in Residential Zone 28, which is kind of like a modern day real world Tokyo stuff that's been invaded by demons, and then you go to this giant castle area, and the different areas are quite nice. You know, the fire temple's nicely lit, the ancestors village is quite spooky, the castle lower and upper, you know, are typical fantasy traditional castle affairs. Cave of Lamentation and Relic of the Abyss are reasonably dark and filled with spiders and stuff like that. It's not a terrible map in terms of its zone variety. It's just a little bit meh to get around when the enemies are very spongy in terms of hit points. And unless you level up really high, you're not going to be doing massive amounts of damage to them. Basically, it has the same problems that 3000th Duel did until they patch it. If there are any significant patches that change stuff in the map, I might come back and update it, but as I said, I don't really have any huge desire to play through the game again. But for a few hours of exploration and figuring out where to go and, you know, figuring out how the map was put together, I had an okay time with HunterX. My usual disclaimer, your mileage will vary. Thank you very much for the support, folks. The coffee.com link down in the description below is the best way of supporting me. This map isn't going on Steam because I tried an experiment the other day with the Haiku the Robot map, put it on Steam. Within a couple of days, there were guide sites scraping it off the forums and sticking adverts all over it, and it annoyed me. It annoyed me. I knew it was going to annoy me. I don't know why I did it. I thought, maybe it won't be so bad anymore. It's still as bad. There's even more adverts than ever. They even left in my little copyright notice saying that if this isn't on the Steam forums, we've stolen it. They just left it on, so they clearly either it was somebody who doesn't speak English, or and therefore doesn't realise that I'm, you know, telling them that they're breaking the law. I don't know. Maybe it's just somebody that doesn't care. Maybe it's just automated. Who knows at this point? Either way, no more of that. So if you want a map for HunterX, this is where everything is on New Game. If there are any big changes on New Game Plus and you play through it multiple times, let me know what they are down in the comments below. If they sound interesting, I may even go and add them on to the map. If the map in the folder doesn't look like this one, chances are at some point I will have decided to change things. But to be honest, if you've listened this far into the video review, you probably got your ideas and stuff mind made up about this anyway. Thank you for watching, folks. Thank you for supporting. Enjoy HunterX. There is enjoyment to be found here. There are better Metroidvania games out and released recently. I do recommend Haiku the Robot over this, but it's not bad. Cheerio.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not click the like button and consider subscribing. Remember, you can ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, cheerio.